So obviously our free agents, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, former first-round pick of LSU, and then our guy Jerick McKinnon, the guy who can do it all, is a free agent. And I was looking at it. He's the as far as the free agents as of right now of this class, I think he's the third oldest running back free agent. I guess Latavius Murray leads away age 34, Cordell Patterson 33, and then McKinnon 31, which is it's crazy. Everyone says, oh, it's so old. I mean, if you look, there's not really much tread on his tires because he's missed so much time because of injury, right. And he's become more of a passing down back anyway. So, there's not a lot of tread on that tire, and that really doesn't matter for our purposes. But, JD, when you see these guys in the open market, you think, and obviously everyone always talks about potentially these guys coming back. Of these two, which one do you think has a higher chance of coming back to Kansas City?
Oh, these two right here? Oh, man. I do believe it may be Jet. I think it's Jerick McKinnon, more likely, for the simple fact that I don't think he lacks in any part of his game. He's able to catch the ball out of the backfield with the best of them, screens, run the football for 3 or 4 yards so he can get up the field. He's got the quickness still, a lot of speed, fast twitch. But also, too, I think where he's probably more valuable than anything else than all the guys that free agents and anybody else that you just named it right here is him understanding the blocking. I mean, when I'm telling you that Jerick McKinnon is probably one of the better blocking running backs I've seen, he is. Like, just over time, like just really understanding space, okay? Because sometimes it's hard when a guy like a tackle or guard is engaged, and a running back's got to be able to catch just a little bit of his color where you don't interrupt him on his blocking scheme. Jerick McKinnon understands that. I mean, he knows how to get in. He knows where to fit. He knows where the weak points are when you're catching the defensive end. He knows how to step up in the pocket to take away from like a linebacker blitzing to give Patrick space. And so sometimes I've seen Pacheco he's not as good as Jerick, and he's still trying to learn that part of it, okay? Because what you want to do is you want to take away from, the space that you have, right? You take the air out of it. So when I say take the air out of it, in football terms, it means you want to close the distance down from a guy being able to run full speed at you, as opposed to waiting on the guy to get there and then hit him, right? Where Patrick might still have to retreat a little back forward. Jerick creates a space for him to do what he needs to do. Jerick McKinnon, to me, is like I said before, probably one of the better blocking running backs that I've seen playing in the NFL, to be honest with you. And I've seen some great ones. And I would say it's a lost art, maybe because we don't see as much of it now, Marcus. It's a lost art. That's why it seems like, well, shit, he's so good at it. Well, because he is. He really is. But going to CEH, a lot of people I've seen just there was a lot of distasteful things people said about CEH. Okay. I wasn't one of those guys. I was one of those that always rooted for CEH. I always wanted him to do well. I always wanted him to be successful. Yeah, he was a first-round pick, and I know sometimes when these things are on your shoulders as a first-round pick, there's a lot of pressure for you to be great immediately as far as a running back. I think they were looking for the guy to have 1,500 yards or whatever, for a running back. And what happened to him was, some injuries happened with CEH. He's a smaller stature guy. I wouldn't say he's particularly well as far as blocking for a running back, pass blocking. But CEH this past year was able to give you something. I think if CEH gets, and this is me, it's my opinion. This is my opinion as a player and as a coach. I see some great running backs. CEH, if you gave him maybe 20, 25 carries a game, I think you would probably see a better CEH if he was healthy. That's how I look at it. More opportunities for a guy like this, I think he would do better. And sometimes when you're in a passing offense like the Chiefs were, you only got a few carries to do great at, to show what you can do. And if you don't do them within the first 12, 15 carries, that's it, buddy. You're done, right? You're just not going to get any more. So I think CH, man, kind of the luck of the draw where he was at, the offense that he is, the system he was, which I think we were thinking he was going to do a little bit more out of the backfield, catching the football too, and just that didn't come to fruition. Was probably the downfall, the demise, man. But I love CEH, what he was able to do. Him coming back this past year and taking a back seat to Pacheco and McKinnon, and able to just kind of be a brother on the team in that group, man. It was, I don't think people realize how much of a value that was. Because I'm gonna tell you, it's a real thing. Y'all probably know this in what you do in your own jobs. But sometimes if somebody don't have the success that you got, somebody gonna hate on you a little bit. It might be a little side eye, a little, little, golf clap over here, but they ain't really happy for you. These guys legitimately seem like they were happy for one another. And that's usually more for toxic teams, things happening. Well, how come I'm not getting the carries? I'm not doing this. All right. I was fortunate to be on a team that had great running backs. They competed with one another, but they were brothers. They hung out with each other. They protected one another. And I've seen something like that this past year with CEH, Jerick McKinnon, and Pacheco. Can you imagine how much of a learning and knowledge that was being passed to Daenerys Prince and Perrine? And I mean, that's what they needed to see. That's what they needed to see. But I do think, going back to it, I think Jet probably is the more likable guy that's going to come back here. I mean, likable saying he has a little bit more tools that we'll be able to utilize in our scheme as opposed to a CEH. So, yeah,
the CEH thing still, we talk about on the show week to week, because we'd see it where, like, you'd have 2 catches in a game, and like, man, like, if only they could utilize him a little bit more to the backfield. And it just never made any sense. That was like his big thing coming out of LSU, was his ability to catch the ball in the backfield. And
that's right.
And everyone thought it was a match made in heaven. Oh man, Andy loves throwing the ball. I mean, look, to his running backs, Brian Westbrook, Jamal Charles, his utilization of the running backs at the backfield was amazing to what Andy Reid would do. And it's never happened with CH, which confuses the heck out of me still. And there'll always be one of those mysteries, like, man, like why didn't that work out? McKinnon, let me ask you this, JD. So, like, we obviously talk about his how big of a role he was last year, not this past season, but the year before that, with the 9 touchdowns receiving, how big a role he was for our passing game. Would you say that, like, replacing him, that's not, because we talk about how it's kind of a dying art that you don't really see that much anymore, a kind of a specimen who comes in there on third down, who actually blocks for his quarterback, who knows the blocking schemes and everything. Having that third down back who can be more of a pass blocker to help the quarterback out. How important is he to this offense? And I mean, and how easy is it to find a guy who can do that?
I mean, he's inherently valuable to the success of the Chiefs. And so where he wasn't able to play, his voice in itself gives comfort to a lot of guys in the locker room. He has to be around for Pacheco, maybe to talk Pacheco, and at times he didn't do well, dropped the ball. McKinnon and those guys could be in his ear talking to him like, hey man, look, just settle down, you be okay. Don't worry about it. Like you all right. That's invaluable when you have somebody who's a pro, who's seen all the adversity you could possibly have, right? We talking Jerick McKinnon was probably he was probably next in line to be the best running back in the league. I'm the best running back, but the top running backs, right? He had a ton of potential that everybody's seen. Come out there, he got hurt. Minnesota gets hurt. San Francisco gets hurt, right? And so that adversity he had to work through, he can talk a lot about that to guys, young guys in the league, not just running backs, but everybody that's there. Like, he's the type of guy that I know will go around the locker room, be everybody's friend. Okay. Everybody would just like him because of his attitude, what he brought, the joy, his kindness, his craziness. Like, those things are infectious. They're infectious. And when you have somebody like McKinnon, because it is a art, like you're saying, going into the blocking part of it, you just don't do things like that anymore. And I mean, you don't practice it anymore, Marcus. We used to practice blocking like linebackers on the blitz full speed in, during training camp. You can't do it anymore. The league's outlawed that. You're not coming in doing. You just probably buttoned up more than anything else. So you're not going to get the reality of what happens in a game. They'll probably use pads, the little red dummies to kind of butt guys up to kind of get a feel for it. But there's nothing like doing it real time. And if somebody already got that skill set down because he's learned it in the past, and shoot, that's the guy you want to be able to keep him around because he does such a great job of it. Does such a great job. Jerick McKinnon, to me, honestly, I would talk Jerick McKinnon saying, hey, look, you know what, Jet, you come back here for another year. What do you think about coming on the staff as a coach? You think you might want to do something like that? Now, I don't know. I'm just saying the guy has everything to him that he could be somebody that will come in the league and be a coach anywhere and do a great job. Teams would just love to have him. They would just love to have his knowledge, his wisdom to help out any, young group. I think even now, I think teams will probably look at it and say, well, shoot, this guy right here can block. Everybody's probably talk great about Jerick McKinnon. We could probably utilize him. But I think he works well with the Chiefs and what he does. That's why we should go ahead and re-sign Jerick McKinnon. I think we should. So hopefully, the growing and everything that he did is just one of those things that, and maybe don't keep him out of the league, right? You don't want these things to be nagging up and all of a sudden you get him and it's hurt again. So that's one of the things you already got to think about, man. But his voice is absolutely important in the locker room.
Yeah, you make a great point about how when goes from Minnesota, goes to San Francisco. I mean, everyone knows the Shanahan offense and how that great it is for a running back. And I remember when they signed him that year going into that 2020 or 2021 season. I remember everyone saying, "Oh, you need fantasy." Everyone's like, "You need to get on Jerick McKinnon. That's the guy you need to get. That's gonna be the next big running back for the Shanahan offense." And then I think he actually was having a solid season before he got hurt that year. And they expected a lot from him, and then the injuries mounted up, and then we ended up getting him a few years later. But it's unfortunate the way. But I will say though, with the injuries, he still carved out a role for himself, and we've seen it come to fruition in Kansas City. And it's not like we're not like asking him to tote the rock 10 to 15 carries a game. We're not even asking him to do that. He has his niche and his role in the team pretty carved out. So it's not like his age is going to affect what his role is. But he did have the injuries this year with the groin. Is that what it was, JD?
Groin. Yeah. So you had to think about it like this, because you're not really on the hook for a whole lot. So let's just say you bring Jet back for a vet minimum, right? If you bring him back for a vet minimum, the league is paying for most of it. The Chiefs are on the hook for just a little bit of it. So it's not going to cost them a whole lot of money to do that. And so you got young guys, Daenerys Prince, Penreen, that's in there in the locker room already. So you still got a good group core guys there. What harm is it to have a guy who's a veteran, who's been around the Chiefs, that they've done really well with, to help them out in every aspect of it, of what they need. So it doesn't cost you a whole lot of money. It doesn't. If you're bringing a guy in, you're bringing a guy in who's gonna eat into Pacheco's runs. That's how I look at it. His carries. I think we already got a guy that's there. Daenerys Prince. I think he's a guy that we need to give a shot to. He could do all those things. He can run the football and catch the ball out the backfield. He's a bigger kid. Okay, he can run hard. Blaylock, dude, I balled with. You know what I'm saying? Certified him. So that's all it took for me. Once a guy like a certified guy, I'm like, yo, shoot, we could ride with him.
He was all business on the podcast when he came on last year. All business.
Yes, sir. Man, a little words. Yeah. All right. I want to. So Amber Brown made this point right here. Okay, and it's a very good point. He said, "Oh, also play calling. They get 50 yards out of Pacheco, and they give him a breather. Then call the stupidest play for CEH, like a sweep right or counter trade. He doesn't have that foot speed." I agree with you. I was saying that too. Sometimes it seemed like CEH was coming in, getting thrown to the wolves. And I hate the whole, from the pistol formation or shotgun, and you're doing outside zone all the way across the field, and you just catching it, heading it off. It's crazy to me. It was one of our worst plays that we ran for any of us, any of the running backs. You might get one or two, but more of the times it wasn't going to be successful because it just took longer to develop for a guy to get out there. Because the reason that is, football-wise, your shoulders are not squared to the line of scrimmage. Okay? You got to turn your shoulders away from the line of scrimmage, catch the football, now square them up. That's a hard thing to do. That's a hard thing to do because you don't get to see, the defense like you want to. It's different running with your shoulders square and parallel to the line of scrimmage. So, great point, Andre Brown. Very good point. But
it'll be it'll be sad to see. I mean, if we don't retain CEH or McKinnon. I think McKinnon's probably the more likely guy to come back. The Eagles are interested in CEH, and I've also read Cincinnati's also interested in CEH. Cincinnati would make a lot of sense going to join Burrow and Chase. I mean, if anyone knows what CH can do is Burrow, his quarterback from college. So that'll be interesting to see if he goes there. It'd be kind of funny. We get Irv Smith, they get CH, a little swapping of skill players, JD.
Yeah. Should be interesting, man. But CH ought to find he'll find some place to be.
And only 24 too. He's got a lot of football left ahead of him.
My goodness.
Hi everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.